Hello Vavers, you're watching YouTube channel Daily USA News Alert. Breaking. Bombshell, Linda Sarsour takes credit for Dems scrapping resolution against anti-Semitism. The anti-Semitism problem in the Democrat Party just got a whole lot worse. A new report out reveals that Democrat activist Linda Sarsour, who has ties to Islamic terror groups, was the person who influenced Democrat leaders to scrap their original anti-Semitic resolution. The New York Times reported that it started as a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Then, anti-Muslim bias was added in. After that came white supremacy. And by the end, it cited African Americans, Native Americans, and other people of color, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, immigrants and others victimized by bigotry. The resolution condemning hateful expressions of intolerance, which passed the House by an overwhelming 407-23 vote Thursday afternoon, was as much a statement of Democrats' values as their factionalism. Caught in the middle was Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who worked for days to quell the internal uproar that erupted after a freshman Democrat, Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, insinuated that backers of Israel exhibit dual loyalty. Women's March co-founder Linda Sarsour explained Friday how she and other left-wing organizers influenced the final language of the anti-hate resolution that passed the House Thursday night. The resolution, initially launched as a rebuke exclusively against anti-Semitism following remarks made by Minnesota Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar, was later broadened to include all forms of bigotry. Sarsour in her video took credit for convincing House Democratic leadership for expanding the language of the resolution to include condemning all forms of bigotry. The Women's March co-founder attacked House Speaker Nancy Pelosi last Tuesday for initially allowing the anti-Semitism resolution, saying in a Facebook post, "Nancy is a typical white feminist upholding the patriarchy, doing the dirty work of powerful white men. God forbid the men are upset, no worries, Nancy to the rescue to stroke their egos." However, according to Sarsour Friday, she and her fellow organizers worked behind the scenes to change the original intent of the non-binding resolution by the end of the week. Democrats argued with one another last Wednesday over the resolution's language. Washington Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal, the Progressive Caucus's leader, did not want Omar's name in the resolution, while a number of Jewish members reportedly pushed to include it. Ultimately, the resolution omitted Omar's name. "Friends, our supporters, you know the Women's March were going through some rough times, and if you know anything about this past week, I'm going to give you some ideas of what we did this week. So, many of you know that our sister Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was under attack," Sarsour said. She continued, "And you know being able to mobilize progressive leaders across the country to sign on to a letter to organize a press conference in support of Ilhan Omar to call on the Democratic leadership to actually expand the language of the resolution to include condemning all forms of bigotry, because that's the kind of movement we're a part of. The Women's March is a movement that unequivocally rejects all forms of racism and anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and that's what we called on the Democratic leadership to do, that in our lifetime we made history with a resolution that is going to be in the public record for life," Sarsour added.